I went to a children's birthday party. There were 20 people there, all women and children, with not a single father in sight. That is a bittersweet sharing from a discussion about life in Russia. But don't be quick to dismiss it as a joke, as it reflects a haunting demographic paradox. Russia is facing a severe gender imbalance, an excess of about 10 million women compared to men. The strange thing is, this discrepancy does not exist from birth. In their 20s, the male-to-female ratio is perfectly balanced. However, once they cross the threshold of 30, the number of men drops dramatically, as if they have just vanished from reality. What happened? Could it be the legacy of World War II? Or is there a deeper reason that most of the world has never heard? Why, in a country with millions of beautiful and successful women, are more and more choosing to live alone? To unravel that mystery, let's embark on a journey together. And if you find this topic interesting, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the amazing cultural truths behind it. And let's start with beautiful and realistic images of the lives of women from the land of ice and snow. Usually, the image of Russian women is often associated with striking beauty, well-groomed fashion, and stories surrounding international marriages. That leads many people to assume that they are looking for a wealthy man to change their lives. But set aside that prejudice, because the reality of life for Russian women will completely change everything you thought you knew. If you have ever walked the streets of Moscow or Petersburg, you will see that Russian women possess a beauty that blends elegance with distinctive sharpness, delicate features, smooth skin, and an incredibly confident demeanor. Especially, taking care of one's appearance is not a vanity. Whether going to work, shopping at the supermarket, or strolling in sub-zero temperatures, they often appear in neat outfits and with subtle makeup. Cultural observers call this a form of survival aesthetics, where external perfection is a symbol of self-esteem and respect for others in a highly competitive living environment. But that's not all. There is a Russian proverb that seems to capture their style. Beauty without brains is like a rose without fragrance. Modern Russian women not only impress with their appearance, but also with their straightforwardness, intelligence, and solid educational background. With a remarkable history of economic independence inherited from the Soviet era, the rate of women participating in the workforce here has always been among the highest in the world, at times exceeding 85%. Today, they continue that tradition. In many urban and rural areas across Russia, the phenomenon of women becoming the breadwinners, running businesses, and even financially supporting their partners is not uncommon. Meanwhile, when the supply of men becomes scarce in the adult age group, a portion of men sometimes fall into a state of complacency. This imbalance causes some people to develop a sense of complacency, lacking ambition and believing that they always have an advantage without needing to share the burden. But the surprising truth is, millions of Russian women are choosing single life not because they cannot find a wealthy man. On the contrary, they are actively refusing to be the financial pillar for those who lack the motivation to strive for more. State statistics from Rosstat in 2023 reveal an astonishing paradox. Russia recorded approximately 945,000 marriages, but there were over 683,000 divorces. This rate is equivalent to about 7 out of every 10 couples choosing to separate, placing Russia among the countries with the highest divorce rates in the world. Notably, a significant portion of these divorce petitions are actively submitted by the women themselves. They work hard, are economically independent, and possess a very strong sense of self-esteem. Their singleness is not a weary wait, but a proud rejection of imbalanced values. After all, the real gap does not lie in the gender imbalance, but in the scarcity of genuine respect and true connections in the modern world. What impresses you the most about Russian women? The delicate features or the beauty of their inner character? And do you want to date a Russian woman? If so, please hit the subscribe button to support us and comment one, and I will show you 3 tips that can make a deep impression on them. And before delving into the profound reasons behind the male shortage, there is a place you need to know about its presence: a place that will surprise you even more than the disparity itself. If you want to see the gender imbalance in Russia with your own eyes, sometimes you don't need to open any statistics. Just go to Ivanovo, a peaceful city located about 300 kilometers from the capital. Since the Soviet era, this place has been affectionately referred to by the media with a name that is both romantic and somewhat bittersweet: the City of Brides. The reason does not come from any legend, but originates from the very history of economic planning. Ivanovo was once a huge textile center of the entire country, attracting hundreds of thousands of female workers, while heavy industries and mining, which were designated for men, were allocated to distant regions. Although the golden age of the textile industry has passed, its demographic echoes still resonate strongly. In present-day Ivanovo, you will easily encounter a very unique rhythm of life. The sight of groups of women with subtle makeup, dressed fashionably, strolling through parks, sipping coffee, or going to the theater without male companions has become a familiar part of the local culture. But Ivanovo is just a small slice of a larger story unfolding across Russia. Because if you look at the national population data, you will discover something quite surprising. The truth is, Russia has never lacked men from the moment they are born. At the age from birth to 24 years old, everything is completely normal. Even the birth rate of boys is slightly higher than that of girls. Young girls aged 18 to 25 still live in a diverse dating environment with many choices. But a strange phenomenon, referred to by demographers as the tipping point, looms ahead. Crossing the milestone of 30 years old, and especially when reaching 35, the number of men seems to lose stability. The number of men is plummeting rapidly, creating a stark divergence in the population pyramid. That is a number large enough to change the social structure. It affects marriage, family, and how people perceive relationships. Imagine a woman reaching the age of 35 or 40. She has a stable job, has life experience, having a certain position in society, but when looking around, the number of single, healthy, and stable men of the same generation seems to be decreasing. The question now is no longer whether Russia has more women than men. The real question is, what has caused millions of men to disappear from that demographic picture? And the answer turns out not to lie in wars or the commonly mentioned myths, but in a silent crisis that has been ongoing for decades. Where have they gone? That is probably the first question that arises when one sees the unusual gender imbalance in Russia. And almost immediately, many people gave the same answer: World War II. Indeed, the Soviet Union had to bear one of the greatest human losses in the history of mankind. About 27 million people died in the war, most of whom were men. In many villages, almost an entire generation of young men never returned. But this is something few people realize. The soldiers who fought in that war, if still alive today, would be over 90 years old. They are not the age group causing the shortage of men in relationships, marriages, or the modern labor market. The real cause originated from a peacetime event, an occurrence that shook the entire social structure. The collapse of the economy in the early 1990s. In a short period of time, millions of Russians witnessed their entire familiar world change. Factories are closing down. The professions that once ensured a stable life have disappeared. The unemployment rate is increasing. The savings of many families almost lost their value overnight. For Russian men, especially those who grew up during the Soviet era, this shock is not just an economic issue. It is also an identity crisis. Many people grew up believing that their role was to be the protector and pillar of the family. But when the economy changed too quickly, millions of people suddenly lost their jobs, social status, and sense of control over their lives. Researchers call this one of the largest peacetime public health crises of the 20th century. Throughout the 1990s, the life expectancy of Russian men plummeted. The mortality rates from cardiovascular diseases, accidents, violence, and alcohol abuse increased significantly. Many demographic experts believe that this period created significant gaps in the structure of the Russian population that we still see today. It is noteworthy that women also went through the same economic crisis, but they tend to adapt better. While many heavy industries are declining, fields such as education, healthcare, and services, where women make up a large proportion of the workforce, continue to thrive. That helps the gap in life expectancy between the two genders to continue widening. Nowadays, an average Russian woman usually lives about a decade longer than a man. At first glance, a 10-year gap may not seem too significant, but when multiplied on a scale of over 140 million people, it creates a huge effect. As the years go by, the number of men decreases faster than that of women, and after many decades, Russia has developed one of the largest gender imbalances in the world. What do you think about this? Can economic upheavals change the family structure and relationships of a nation? Let's discuss together. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button because the truth of this picture still has a deeper hidden aspect that will completely change your perspective. Even for healthy and stable men who remain, connecting with these elite women still presents countless challenges. What is really preventing them from coming together? The answer lies in a psychological syndrome that is quietly reshaping the concept of family in Russia. If we only look at the demographic numbers, the picture of single women in Russia still lacks an important psychological piece. Because the reality is, even with men still present in today's Russian society, why do so many women still choose to live alone? One of the quietest reasons why millions of Russian women continue their journey alone is because of the change in the status of women. Sociological observers often refer to a characteristic phenomenon here, known as the Superwoman syndrome. Modern Russian women do not stop at just their stunning outward beauty. Global statistics frequently rank them among the highest in the world for university and postgraduate degree ownership. You will easily find them holding management positions, running medical clinics, leading scientific research, and being completely financially independent. However, this remarkable advancement of women is clashing violently with the expectations of a traditional culture. In Russia, traditional family values still quietly demand that the man be a strong pillar and the woman be a devoted goalkeeper of the flame. When the disparity in actual capabilities occurs, a tiring paradox emerges. Millions of wives and mothers have to work tirelessly outside the home, contributing economically no less and even more than their partners. That means marriage is no longer a prerequisite for a stable life. As a result, the criteria for choosing a partner have also changed. Many women no longer simply seek someone who can provide financial support. They seek someone who can share responsibilities, provide emotional support, and build a life together as true companions. And when they don't find that, more and more people are willing to continue living independently rather than entering a relationship that makes life heavier. This is perhaps something that many people outside of Russia often misunderstand. The singleness of millions of Russian women does not necessarily reflect a lack of choice. What about you? Do you agree with the uncompromising decision of Russian women, or are you witnessing the Superwoman syndrome happening right where you live? Please share your perspective in the comments section below. And if you enjoy authentic cultural explorations like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss our next videos. But wait, as more and more women delay or refuse marriages that do not meet their expectations, another question arises. How is that affecting family structure, divorce rates, and the future of Russian society? The changes in how Russian women perceive marriage and relationships not only affect their personal lives, it is quietly shaping the entire society. And perhaps nowhere is this more clearly reflected than in the numbers on marriage and divorce. For many years, Russia has consistently ranked among the countries with the highest divorce rates in the world, often hovering at an astonishing level, over 70%. This means that out of every 10 marriages, 7 are on the brink of collapse. Behind those statistics lies a noteworthy reality. Many Russian women today no longer see maintaining a marriage at all costs as a necessity. For previous generations, Divorce often came with significant social pressure, but in modern society, more and more people are willing to leave a relationship if they feel that respect, responsibility, or companionship no longer exists. That doesn't mean Russians value family less. On the contrary, precisely because they value family, many people do not want to continue living in marriages that they believe no longer bring happiness to the family members. And when separations occur, women often bear the brunt of the responsibilities. Across Russia, it is not difficult to encounter images of mothers who work full-time, take care of their children, and manage all household tasks. They take their children to school in the morning, work all day, and continue to manage the household when they return home in the evening. That is not the story of a few individuals, but the reality for millions of people. According to sociological reports, there are about 5 million single-parent households in Russia, and the vast majority of those homes are being nurtured and steered by women. If you step into a school in Russia, it is very likely that most of the teachers you encounter will be women. In fact, they make up more than 80% of the workforce in the education sector. If you step into a local clinic, it is highly likely that the people directly caring for patients are also women, as they hold more than 70% of positions in the healthcare and medical fields. Perhaps that is why, for many modern Russian women, what they seek in a relationship is not merely financial stability. What they seek is respect. It is the sharing of responsibility. It's the feeling that both are pulling a cart forward together instead of just one person bearing the entire weight. What about you? The image of women who are both financially independent and bear the responsibilities of the family, does it resemble what is happening in your country? Please share your perspective right in the comments section. And if you find these cultural discoveries interesting, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to continue joining us. The next question will be, will this unique demographic picture continue into the future? Or is Russia entering a completely new phase of change where the younger generations will rewrite the rules that have existed for decades? So, where will this volatile demographic picture lead Russia in the future? If we look at the long-term projections from international statistical agencies, the road ahead is still fraught with challenges. In recent years, Russia's total fertility rate has been fluctuating around 1.4 to 1.5 children per woman, a figure that still falls below the replacement level. Along with that, the gap in life expectancy, although showing significant signs of narrowing due to improvements in healthcare awareness, remains a major crack in the demographic structure. The complex upheavals of history and the cultural rifts cannot be healed overnight. However, amidst those somewhat bleak numbers, we are beginning to see unexpectedly positive signs of transformation. The current generation of Russian youth, those belonging to Gen Z and millennials, are gradually reshaping old values. One of the most striking examples is the change in lifestyle. According to data from the World Health Organization, WHO, per capita alcohol consumption in Russia has decreased by nearly 40% over the past 2 decades. This is a groundbreaking cultural shift that directly impacts the narrowing of the life expectancy gap between men and women, which has decreased from over 12 years to around 9 to 10 years. This younger generation is also becoming more open to the concept of true equality within the family. Both young men and women are placing more emphasis on mental health, and more importantly, young men are ready to share the responsibility of caring for the household more equitably than the previous generation. However, while waiting for the seeds of the new generation to sprout and restore balance, millions of Russian women today are doing what they do best: adapting, rising, and shining. Their freedom today is no longer a reluctant solution, but has become a proud declaration of self-esteem and unyielding standards of living. Life in Russia has never been just a story about icy winters, vast squares, or subway stations as magnificent as palaces. The most authentic picture of this land is painted by its women. Their beauty lies not only in the perfection of their appearance or the elegant outfits amidst the freezing cold. It lies in their quiet resilience, in the way they refuse to compromise with imbalanced values, and in the extraordinary strength they show when they have to bear an entire society on their shoulders. What do you think about the fully autonomous, independent choices of these wonderful women? Is their self-esteem setting a new standard for women around the world? Please share your thoughts and location right in the comments section. Currently, the weather in Moscow might be freezing cold. So how is the weather where you are watching this video, and what is the temperature? Don't forget to like and subscribe to continue exploring surprising cultural facts with us from all over the planet. The content in this video is produced for educational, cultural exploration, and entertainment purposes. All data and demographic figures are cited from public sources at the time of publication and may change in the future. We respect the diversity of cultures and do not intend to promote any biases, stereotypes, or offenses toward individuals or communities. Hello, and see you again on the next journeys.